At midnight, 67 as we kick off the weekend. Sunshine at 9 and 71 degrees. The weekend does look warmer, but there's some rain in the forecast as we head back to work next week. We'll talk about that and, of course, the highs coming up in a few minutes. Fox 44 News starts right now.
Coming up on Fox 44 News, today marks 19 years since the tragic September 11th attacks. How Central Texans paid their respects.
Registration activities came to a very quick stop.
The pandemic halting voter registration, how the state is making sure everyone is signed up. And as COVID-19 rages on, many are feeling stressed. We'll show you ways to release the pressure.
Live from Waco, Temple, and Killeen, your news now. This is Fox 44 News at 9.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on Fox 44 News at 9. I'm Noelle Mendoza. Adam Hooper has the night off. President Trump and his rival Joe Biden and their running mates paused to remember those who lost their lives 19 years ago today. Fox News correspondent Carolyn Shively has details.
On this 19th anniversary of 9/11, President Trump honored the passengers and crew of Flight 93.
40 towering patriots rose up, took charge, made their stand, turned the tide, and changed the course of history forever.
Flight 93 crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. It's thought that before the crew and passengers fought them down, the plane's hijackers had been headed to the U.S. Capitol. Congress members and staff honored that sacrifice and the nearly 3,000 people who died in Pennsylvania, New York, and the Pentagon that day with a moment of silence. A few miles away in Virginia, this ceremony remembered those who died when another plane crashed into the Pentagon. Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris spoke at this event for the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue, one of many teams who rushed to the Pentagon that day.
If we learned anything watching the heroes of 9/11, it's that the strength of the human spirit knows no bounds.
Vice President Mike Pence spoke to survivors and their families in New York by reciting the Bible's 23rd Psalm.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden attended that same ceremony, where he and Pence shared a COVID-aware elbow bump. Later in the day, Biden visited the Shanksville site as the president did.
This is the country that never gives up.
That elbow bump between Pence and Biden is the closest any of these candidates have gotten to each other in quite a while, in a rare moment, on a rare day of unity. Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Here in Central Texas, the Austin Police Department honored victims of 9/11 with a memorial service at the Texas State Cemetery. The police department's pipe and drum corps played through the morning. The department says they will never forget the sacrifices of the brave men and women. And over in Belton, some paid their respects by laying nearly 3,000 flags to honor the victims of the terrorist attacks. Fox 44's Kendall Green has that report.
2,977 flags laid out on UMHB's campus to represent each person killed at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The Young Conservatives of Texas spent hours laying out flags on campus, saying even 19 years later, as college students, they still feel the impact of 9/11.
It just reminds me that even the people that weren't there or didn't directly experience it really feel I think the earth trembled that day.
The group remembering the thousands of innocent lives taken in a day that started off ordinary.
All they did was show up to work, and they died in such a horrific way. I mean, it was a true tragedy.
Hunter Morehead says he's still connected emotionally to the terror of the 2001 attacks, even being so far away.
I went to the 9/11 memorial in New York, and I feel a similar weight, if that makes sense. It's just like every time you go anything around near 9/11, you can just feel kind of the weight that day held.
First responders in Waco taking a moment of silence and solidarity with victims of the attacks as well.
Watching the building fall down, the ashes, the devastation that ensued, all of that, it was just a bad day. Just a very bad day.
Giving them that sobering reminder of just how important their roles can be in any given moment.
It's important for each of us as firefighters and members of our community to remember what the men and women did for us that day in protecting us.
Dozens of folks at a time showing up to the field of flags, mourning our nation's loss, vowing to remember 9/11 today and always.
All of us kind of have to remember what happened so history doesn't repeat itself.
In Belton, Kendall Green, Fox 44 News.
An estimated 71,000 Texans are currently suffering from the coronavirus. Over 3,400 new cases reported today across the Lone Star State. Right here in McLennan County, 68 cases pushes over 7,000 in the community. Currently, 551 of those cases are active. In Bell County, 19 new cases bring the total number closer to 5,000. 325 cases are active. The city of Waco is providing short-term emergency rental assistance to help people who can't pay the rent due to the pandemic. Funds in the amount of up to $2,400 will be provided to property owners on behalf of eligible tenants. The money will cover bills, rental, or mortgage payments. For more information, head to fox44news.com. A former Bell County jailer is under investigation for allegedly having an improper relationship with an inmate. The Sheriff's Department says allegations surfaced recently, prompting the investigation. Today, the department arrested Rusty Bob Cook on a charge of improper sexual relationship of a person in custody. DPS, Texas Rangers, and Bell County Special Crimes Unit conducted the investigation, where Cook confessed to having the sexual relationship with the inmate. Cook resigned from the department on September 9th. A former Temple ISD teacher indicted for indecency with a child, an incident alleged to have happened over 10 years ago. Earlier this year, a 24-year-old woman told Temple police a teacher had inappropriate sexual contact with her when she was 13 years old. 35-year-old Eric Ryan Thornell was indicted on 2 counts of indecency with a child. Demolition to the outside of the American Bank in Belmead started today. The bank has turned heads since 1979 with its unique round structure, but now American Bank is looking to redefine the building's look. The bank announced its plans to demolish the building back in 2019. The new building is expected to be very customer-friendly with a drive-through and a more modern look. Construction of the site will begin immediately after demolition is done. That's expected to be next year. With COVID-19 making a genuine night out feel like a thing of the past, there are still a few places in town you can gather at and blow off some steam. Fox 44's Cameron Stewart is live in the studio after visiting a couple of those places today. Cameron, how do these places help in such uncertain times?
Well, Noelle, 2020 has been anything but easy. People have been isolated, they've lost their jobs, and there's no certainty about when the stress will let up. With so many places closed or limited because of COVID-19 concerns, a night out with friends has become more creative than ever.
They get to, wash their hands of what's going on and let loose.
Shauna Latino and Michelle Irwin opened Stumpy's Hatchet Hall in downtown Waco without knowing just how important their business would be to people.
When people come here, and I have had this comment a couple of times, that it's the only normal thing that's happened to them in a while, and I think that that's what we've been able to offer also, because it's a safe place for people to come, and it has given us a sense of normalcy.
Stumpy's hosts groups and parties for people to bring their own drinks and learn how to throw axes. With each pit being available for rent, it allows people to come together for a night out and already be socially distanced.
And it's active, it's fun, it's loud, the music is always on point, and there's people, and so it just does give that opportunity to let off some steam and have a social experience that, is just not available anywhere right now.
Blowing off steam with your friends is exactly what Winston Kale and his brother had in mind when they opened Waco Rage Room, a place to relieve your stress just by smashing junk.
The last thing we want is for anybody to get mad and cuss your boss out or be ugly to your family or your brothers or sisters or your spouse or anything like that. And 9 times out of 10, people will come in here, and by the time they leave, they just kind of purge all that out of them.
Kale says a lot of people come to the Rage Room because it allows them to escape the structure of everyday life, which has seemingly taken over our whole lives during COVID-19.
And I think that's all people need, man. They're at work or they're at home and they just get told what to do, or they have to do so many things, that it's good to have a place that's like, hey man, like the #1 rule is just to have fun.
And now that you've seen how these businesses help relieve customer stress, we'll show you how it's helped out the staff as well. That's coming up at 9:30. Live in the studio, I'm Cameron Stewart, Fox 44 News.
Next on Fox 44, body cam video shows the deadly shooting of a suicidal man in April. But the Houston police chief says officers should have used more discretion. And a new memorial in Dallas bringing awareness to racial justice.
This is Fox 44 News at 9.